What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trade Decoded. It is July 2nd, 2025. And for me, today was a bad day. Didn't break a whole lot of rules or anything. Just the things that normally work for me didn't work for me. And today's video is going to be short because things weren't working out as a whole. I was tired. I spilled my coffee all over the place. And I took two trades that cost me money. Almost $3,000 loss today. But trading is not always rainbows and unicorns and everything else. Sometimes it's hand grenades. And today I took setups that work for me and normally, and they didn't today. So I'm going to show you those and then I'm going to leave you alone. But join my Discord community, buy my book, all the things. Let's go ahead and get into the charts. Call put scenario this morning was if Qs can get above 546.43, we were hoping they were going to make it up at least to 546.91. If they got through that, we'd be hoping for the next orange line up. To the downside, if we can get below 545.61, we'd be hoping for that move to actually get down to right below the orange dotted line. Well, market opened. ADD was printing green. Qs was breaching the call line. I took my calls, hoped that they would move up to our first target high. But then ADD started to go the other way. Now, the problem with ADD going the other way, it's not usually a problem if the Qs can outweigh them, which they usually do. So today was a little bit different. ADD was stronger than the Qs for a good portion of the morning. And you know that because even though the Qs continued to trend up here, for the first several minutes, SPY was trending down, as was ADD. So in this particular instance today, I took a pretty nasty L on this one. The second one was worse, but I'll explain why that is here in just a second. Let me pull up my TradeZilla. I think the first loss today was a 16.25% loss for about $960.70 after fees and all the fun stuff. Got in where I wanted to. I saw some green in that trade for the remainder of the first candle. And then very quickly, ADD took over and just dragged SPY down, even though the Qs didn't come falling down. So yes, I lost money on that one. Now, if only I knew to hold and hope, I could have made a lot more money today, or I could have made any money today. Today I lost money. But that just wasn't the case. So this is not a trade that I'm ashamed of taking. It's one that I take regularly. This usually works for me. So I'm not upset that I lost money. I'm not upset that the trade didn't work out. It's just the way it works sometimes. We continued to trend up on the Qs, and ADD struggled to move up. So knowing that ADD was a little bit stronger than it normally is, right? We have to respect it a little bit. And so we started to look for what I like to call my favorite trade setup, or the Jimmy trade as it's become to known in our community, because a lot of people in our community do trade this particular setup successfully, and it has a very high win rate, just not today for me. We were at resistance on the Qs. We had breached, in this case, ended up closing below the trend line, the upward trend line. ADD was already printing red. I got in a little aggressively on this, we were hoping to get through this support right here and down to this one. That's why there's actually an alert set there. We never got to it, obviously. And so I jumped into this trade. Once again, I was slightly green. As you can see, this move down on SPY was decent, but we hadn't gotten to where I hoped we would get, whether it was the SPY chart support or the Qs chart next support. It never got there. And we were getting close to 10 o'clock. Well, as if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, I tell you guys, we should never hold through the 10 o'clock candle, but I find, not just myself, but most people will hold through the 10 o'clock candle if they're already in a trade that's not winning at the time. Why? Well, because emotions get involved and we say, man, I know I shouldn't hold through 10 o'clock, but maybe the 10 o'clock candle will turn this red trade into a green one. We were having fun with it because a lot of people were holding on to puts. And of course, we were all hoping that the 10 o'clock candle was going to go down, not up. And well, it didn't go down. And so when you choose to make that choice, like I did and several other people did today, we understand the risk. It's either going to get good or it's going to get worse. That's just the way that it works. It's very rare that the 10 o'clock candle doesn't produce some sort of volume spiked move. Sometimes it's bigger than others, and sometimes it's in the direction you hope it's going to go, and other times it's not. You know, that's the problem with the 10 o'clock candle. It's really a gamble. That's why I call it the gamble candle. We don't know which way it's going to go. You'll never know which way it's going to go, but it usually is relatively explosive whichever way it does go. So, I should have been out of the trade before the 10 o'clock candle. I wasn't. ADD had already turned around, started going the other way. Qs was not comfortably making it down to the support. The signs to get out of this trade before it got bad were there. I just hoped that it was going to get better. It didn't. As it pulled back, if you don't stop out when you're supposed to, well, you basically allow yourself to get into a hold and hope situation. I wasn't holding and hoping because I had a very clear line that I was going to give this thing a chance to. And if it didn't get down, you know, or if it got through the line in the sand that I drew for myself, I was going to get out of the trade. Okay. It would have been my second loss for the day, which means I can't take a third trade because I have a rule against taking a third trade if my first two were red. But what happened? I was hoping that this resistance on the Qs right here at 547.84 was going to stay resistance, and maybe, just maybe, we'd get a move down. We had resistance on SPY up here as well that I was hoping was going to help keep SPY down. Obviously, neither one worked out. However, prior to me giving this thing a chance to reject there, I had walked into my kitchen to go get the cup of coffee that I was brewing, which I double brewed and overflowed the cup. So I told everybody, guys, I got to go get this mess cleaned up. I'll be back in just a second. If it's the resistance held and we go down by the time I get back, again, it's going to be either good or it's going to be bad. And it was worse. So I ended up stopping out. I got back to the chart somewhere around 10:04, 10:05. And then I said to myself, well, if we close above this next resistance on the Qs, I got to take myself out. And I did. That ended up being a 29.38% loss for $1,310.70. And that was my last trade of the day. Lo and behold, if your feelings don't affect your ability to trade the chart, which is, well, much easier said than done, I was begging people at this point not to consider puts. There was no put bias here. I mean, the setup I took here was calls. The setup I took here was puts. This works 90+% of the time for me, and this works 90+% of the time for me normally. Today just wasn't my day, and that's okay. Those days are going to happen. Just got to minimize the number of errors that you make. Like my error today was not the entry on these candles or these trades. It was my exit on the second trade that made it worse than it really should have been. Okay. As we continue to move up, the market is happy. It's melting up. We're pushing all-time highs again. And by the way, we're at all-time highs and keep pushing higher on the SPY right now. But as we were moving sideways here, not only am I not telling people stay away from puts because they're not working today, and the chart's just going up. It's not at a crazy pace. The charts are moving very slow, and volatility is relatively low. The expected move was low today, and so a lot of those things play into our thought process and how we're going to process the day. At least it does for me. But I did say, guys, if you're looking for calls because this move has a much higher probability chance of continuing up than it does down. ADD was already moving up, and we were talking about this trade a solid 4 minutes before you actually took it. And I said, guys, calls are the play here as long as you respect the support that we've created, right? So at 10:14, we created a support. We tested it multiple times. I said, if the Qs close back below that level, we got to get out of the calls. Otherwise, we should expect this thing to move up, get to the next resistance, reassess what's going on when we get there. If ADD is still printing green, stay in the trade. Hopefully get to the next resistance. so on and so forth. And that trade worked out beautifully. And some people make 40% on this trade, some people more, some people stopped out because we got to the first line. I did not take this trade because I already had taken my 2 red trades in a row. And I'm trying to respect my rules, not find reasons to break them. Then, funny story here, we're moving up here, tight range of resistance levels here. And one of our members, I swear to God, not 5 seconds before this red candle actually popped out. Andy, good job today. He goes, I'm actually quite surprised we haven't had a big red FU candle yet. I swear to God, you could not have timed it better, buddy. 5 seconds later, this thing just shoots straight down. Now, it instantly recovered 3 minutes later. We were back above where we were, but it's just funny that that happened. After that, guys, we did a lot of sideways moving. Theta is the real winner in a chart like this. It is slowly grinding up. You cannot make money with options. If you're a futures trader and you don't have theta, this works for you. But if you are an options trader, days like today can become very expensive and very, very uncomfortable. And well, that's how it was. Our win-loss ratio today in the community is 50-50. We have as many red trades today as we do green. But that doesn't surprise me, not just because my day was red, but because, well, the charts were not ideal. They just weren't. There was moments that were tradable. There was times that setups didn't work. There were times that setups did work. But not every day is a trade day. And more importantly, not every day is going to be a winning day. And that's the only reason I made a video today, was to show you guys and tell you guys that I actually lost money today. Because my wins from yesterday were not quite as high as my losses for today, I'm actually red for the first time on the week, which it's only Wednesday, but in a long time. But tomorrow is going to be a half day in the market. Volume may be low. We do have a lot of reports in the morning, so hopefully that gives us some catalyst to get some movement earlier in the day, which is when I prefer to trade. No revenge trading tomorrow. We're going to hope for good moves. We're going to take the setups if they present themselves, and we're going to just treat it like any other day. But like I said, do expect volume to start dying down as we move through the morning, just because the markets close at 1 o'clock. The markets are closed on Friday for 4th of July. So just be aware of all those things, okay? With that said, hope you guys found some valuable information in this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to join our Discord community, well, I'd love to have you. The links are down below. And if you want to buy my book, it's right here. There's good stuff in there. And look out for my newly revised How to Actually Day Trade. I guess we'll call it an all-encompassing explanation of how everything should go when you're trying to plan or take a trade. You know, how to spot which side to take, calls or puts, defining the criteria for the entry for those calls or puts, where you should expect your profit target to be based on the chart, using support and resistance, you know, and how to manage the trade while you're in it, and all of the things. So it's basically going to be a start to finish guide from before the market even opens, how we start the process. Okay, so if you're interested in that, be on the lookout. As I said to you guys before, I'm going to cut way back on these types of how I traded SPY videos. I've done enough of them that if you watch them and you're trying to learn from them, you've heard everything I have to say. So now I'm going to try and make some more educational based content that maybe it'll be a more help to you. With that said, enjoy the rest of your day. Till tomorrow, I love you guys. See you.